Hey, welcome back to this special bonus episode of the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian, and with me is a very special guest and a very important guest for the show. He's actually, as we were talking before we recorded, reminded me he's the only guest we've had that's been on with all of the various hosts that have been involved with the show. Christian Colbert, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And it's Colbert. It's not Colbert.
Yeah, it's Colbert with a T. Stephen Colbert ruined it for the rest of us.
I make that joke every time. Anyway, so Christian is obviously the comic book artist extraordinaire who, with the original co-host Brian, he was his artist on his first couple of comics that he put out. That's how I met him. That's how I fell in love with his art style. He's been on before. What was it? Lantern Falls. Right?
Yeah, Lantern Falls.
Was the last time you were on to talk about. What happened with that?
It's kind of still been sitting there. It had been optioned to be developed as a TV series by two different people, and then nothing ever happened, as it often does.
Yeah.
And just kind of came back to me, so I've been slowly working on that along with other projects, but it doesn't pay me, so I got to do stuff that pays me.
So is that like a holding deal, or like how do they pay you when they're like trying to develop it?
If you get a good deal, you get paid.
Okay.
When they develop it, but I didn't have a good deal, and they didn't pay me, so I just kind of waited it out and waited for the rights to revert back to me.
So is that like a 2 or 3 year process? How does that work?
The first one was a 1 year process, I think. No, 2 years.
Okay.
And then the second one was a 1 year.
Okay. Cool. Well, and you have it back now, and you're working on it again when you can. Yeah. But you're here today to talk about the new project that you have, which does pay, which is great to hear. It's called the Node Chronicles, and the first volume chapter. Do you call them chapters? I always call it volumes, but
I think we've been calling them issues.
Okay. So
chapters.
The first issue, The Hacker Way, is currently out. I got it off of Amazon, and I'll put links to everything in the show notes where you can find the book. But yeah, Node Chronicles, The Hacker Way. Why don't you give us a quick summary about what it's about?
Well, the Node Chronicles it takes actual history, historical figures in science like Nikola Tesla and Alan Turing, people like that, and it mixes it with some fiction that we're creating to teach kids about coding and computer technology, stuff like that.
Nice. I mean, that's a super important topic right now too. I know Haley, my daughter, she's been on the show a few times. She's really into comics. She likes it. She's begrudgingly had to learn how to code thanks to having a dad who works in tech. So, but yeah, no, I thought it was great. I really liked the characters. I liked the progression they went through. I was really excited to see the historical figures you guys use with like Tesla and Einstein and stuff like that. So the writer is Franck Jones, right? That's his name. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, it's Frank.
Yeah. So, what else has he done?
He's worked in technology and business for many, many years. This is his first foray into writing comics.
I couldn't tell. So, I would have never guessed that. I would I couldn't find anything else with him, but that doesn't mean he hasn't written anything. It just means my Google search was bad. But no, it's really, really good, and it just, I don't know. As I've read it through it a couple times. And it's a really fast read, which is weird for how long it is. Because I know there's some books right now, they're like 23 pages long. And it's it takes me 3 days to finish because I just have to keep putting it down and walking away. So this is the great thing about I keep calling it, when people are asking me about comics, I call it the indie comic resurgence. And I think this is definitely one of those things. And you guys are you just printing these yourself, or is it part of a publisher?
We printed the first volume ourselves. I think it's a printer called Mixam or Wixam or something like that. And then there's also another version available on Amazon called the Amazon Backpack Edition, where it's more digest sized, and Amazon themselves print that one.
Okay, that's the one I have, is the Amazon one, because I really like the paper and like the cover, the way it feels. For all those people who don't want digital comics and want the actual paper copy, like this one feels really good in your hand. So
yeah, I was really surprised by the print quality, especially the cover. It's got that matte cover and then the gloss to the pages. I was really surprised.
Yeah. Are you going to continue doing it that way through the Amazon?
Yeah, we're going to continue through Amazon. It's just too good to pass up to be able to, make it available that easily for people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, and it was Prime. It came the next day, actually. So I was shocked. Yeah, no, it's cool. So why don't you tell me more about the characters? How do you say his name? Is it Gou?
Gou, yes.
Gou, okay. So would you call Gou the main character, or is it his dad?
The different chapters, it kind of switches a little bit, but Gou is the main character. Gou and his brother Known, and his sister, you'll see in the next issue, is Lilu. But each issue focuses a little bit on different characters, so it's not always going to be Gou in the spotlight. It's not always going to be Lilu in the spotlight.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of your art style. So like,
awesome. Thank you.
It's like, reminiscent of like, Bruce Timm and some of that kind of stuff that we would read as kids growing up, and like a little like Scotty Young and a little Alberto Ramos, but it's still your own style, right? Like I know, like when I read Lucius Hammer, right? I know it's your art. When I looked at Lantern Falls, I immediately, like, if someone would have been like, here, look at this book, I was like, why do you have Christian's book, and why didn't Christian tell me about it? And this is the same thing. Like your style is just so, I don't know. I've always wanted to see you do an X-Men book.
I would love to do an X-Men book. Anybody out there at Marvel is listening, Brian can hook you up with my email address.
Yeah, we'll make that. Let's make that happen. Let's start a Christian Colbert X-Men. I don't know. Are you reading current comics right now? Are you reading anything good?
I haven't been reading too many current comics.
Okay.
I've been collecting old stuff, though. I kind of went on a Mike Zeck bender, and I've been buying all kinds of old G.I. Joes and old Captain Americas, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly convinced that Mike Zeck is the best cover artist ever to walk on the planet.
Wow. That's high praise. I like Mike. Yeah. He made me he didn't make me mad, but he kind of disappointed me at the Cincinnati Comic Expo a few years ago, because he was signing badges, but Jeff from Queen City Comics always gets me a vendor badge to go, and he wouldn't sign my badge, even like I was gonna pay, like it was like $5 to sign the badge. Just like, yeah, no, I'm not signing vendor badges. I'm like, I'm not actually a vendor. So
oh man,
it was like, oh man, because it was the badge was like the Black Spider-Man costume, so suit, and it would have been just awesome to have as a thing to hang up on my wall. But whatever. I just
picked up a copy of Secret Wars #8, the first issue with the Black Spider-Man. It's a little bit beat up, but I didn't pay too much for it. But it's just a cool.
It's just good to have, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have that one lying around. Honestly, like, I think like that's not like a rare thing right now, as people like kind of going back and looking, like getting old books and like kind of rebuilding maybe past collections for things they liked. So I think that's awesome. I've been looking at but getting like old Legion of Superhero stuff that like I've had and for whatever reason don't have anymore. So
that's kind of what I'm doing too, is like when I was young, maybe 10, 12, 13, I had a big box of comics, and somehow along the years, through the years, they just kind of disappear along the way. I had a whole bunch of them at my parents' house. They had been living in my old bedroom, and I went and picked those up, and there was some good stuff in there, and
nice.
Just gaps of stuff I want to fill up.
Now you're back in Ohio, right?
I'm currently in Dearborn, Michigan.
Oh, Dearborn. All right.
Yeah.
Do you like?
Yeah, it's nice.
I've been up to.
Yeah, I like it. It's
So it's different, right?
It's different than Ohio. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit bigger than I was living in Oberlin for about 4 years,
Yeah.
and it's bigger, so it's a little more anonymous up here, but it's also filled with people, which is not my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, come on. I mean, you left Chicago to go back to Otterbein and, Oberlin, whatever. And, yeah, last time we talked, you just moved back to Ohio. So, all right. So let's get back to the hacker way.
Okay.
So it's following Go, and he's putting together like all the recent technology and stuff. And I guess like that innate search, like that, like searching for something like that he can't describe. Like how did you guys come up with that? And how did you decide, like, to make him so, I don't know, he's so quizzical and like, I don't know. I just, he's always like searching for answers, right? I think that would be the best way to describe him. And, like his brother is a little more sporty than he is and things like that. And it seems like he can get, how do you say his name? Non. He can get Non to do anything for money.
Yeah, that's true. Well, his brother is meant to be like a little bit of a jock and not quite into the technology stuff as Go is. So Go is trying to bring him into that circle a little bit.
Okay.
But most of the original characterization is created by Franck.
Okay.
A lot of it is, I assume, a lot of it is based off of him. Some of it's his kids and people he knows, things like that. Which is actually the best way to create characters, is to take bits and pieces of people or famous people, just bits and pieces of their personality, stuff like that, and incorporate it into your own creations.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. All right. So the other thing about this book is it's not just a book about technology, but like it incorporates technology.
Yeah.
So there's an app that's in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Can you tell me a little more about like how kids can expect to use the app and kind of what how the experience changes when they use the app with the book?
Yeah. Well, the app contains a lot more information about who we're calling legends, people like Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs, to where we wouldn't normally be able to fit that all in a comic book unless we're writing a textbook. And who wants to read that? That's the whole reason we're doing this book, is because textbooks are kind of boring. But so you're reading through the book and you get to a page with a symbol on it. You open up the app, and the app has a scanner, and you scan the symbol, and it takes you to a section in the app that's only accessible through that symbol. Okay. And it'll tell you about the symbol and what it means, and certain legends that are associated with that symbol. And also in the app, you can collect their digital collectibles. What we have, they're called symbol or legend tokens, and it'll be an image of Nikola Tesla, and it'll explain a little bit about him, stuff like that. And you can collect all the symbols, you can collect legends. It's just kind of a cool collectible card game, something that, I'm sure you had stuff like that when you were young, just like I did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I missed the Pokemon craze by a little bit, but like, baseball cards, like basketball cards, things like that.
Yeah.
100%. But
a little side note, my friend gave me a giant box of the first edition Marvel trading cards from the 90s. So,
was it Overpower? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah,
it's the very first one, because I remember collecting them all when I was in maybe
I have
6th or 7th grade.
From those, I have the battle torn Spider-Man. And for years, it was the only picture I carried, like when you would still carry pictures in your wallet. Even like after I had a kid, well into my 30s, it was still the only picture in my wallet. Yeah, that was a good time. And people were like, "Hey, do you have a picture of your wife and daughter?" I'm like, "No, but I got this cool ass picture of Spider-Man that's from a trading card that's been destroyed over the years." Yeah. But no, that's really cool. So what's next for Go and Non, and I guess there's a couple more characters that are going to be introduced in the next chapter.
Yeah, we just wrapped up all of the art and most of the writing for the next chapter, and there's going to introduce new characters. It takes place in Chicago. It's not like a super realistic version of Chicago. It's kind of like an idealized version, multiverse version of Chicago. So it introduces a bunch of new characters, new concepts, delves a little bit more into the story. Where Gou and his father and his family and his father's friends and what his father used to do, things like that. I'm not going to give away too much because I want you guys to buy the book. But yeah, I feel like if you like the first issue, the second issue, you're really going to like it because it gets a lot more into the characters, a lot more into the technology. I, for some reason, feel like the artwork, like I took a giant quantum leap in the artwork too. Cool. So I feel like it's one of the best books I've ever drawn.
Oh,
so
awesome. See, now you have me overhyped for it, and I'm super excited. Yeah. So with the characters that are coming, right? Can you talk a little bit about like who's being added, or is that like kind of a surprise?
It's a little bit of surprise.
Okay.
But we're trying to make the cast as diverse as possible because if you look at the first book, it's pretty white. So we want to avoid that at all costs. We want to make a book where everybody can pick it up and feel like they can relate to somebody in the book. So the second book expands on the diversity a lot, and we're gonna keep doing that throughout the entire series.
Cool. Very cool. And then you said it's a multiverse version of Chicago. So does that mean like it's a safe Chicago where you can walk around on the streets? I'm kidding.
It still has very real world problems, but it's also a book for kids.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna have gang shootouts or anything like that. But yeah, Chicago is known as being a pretty rough place. But we might address some of it, but not in like a violent fashion or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend who's from Chicago and he calls it Chirac.
Yeah, I've heard it called that before. When I lived there, I didn't really live in a bad part of town. No. I lived downtown for a year. I lived in Logan Square, which is quickly filling up with hipsters gentrifying the area.
Gross.
Yeah, I mean, there's reasons to be afraid of hipsters too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. They're the most terrifying version of our species. Okay, so I had a couple questions about the Raspberry Pi stuff in the book. So if a kid has a Raspberry Pi and they follow the instructions that you have, are they building? What are they building? Is it something real or is it?
It's basically just teaching you how to code and introduces you to Raspberry Pi and building your own, computer.
Okay.
Like
because the Raspberry Pi
out there who don't.
Is amazing. It's an amazing piece of technology that you can do so much with. And I think the fact that when I was flipping, as I read through and I got to those pages and it's like, wait a second, this is actually something. And it's not just there.
Right. Yeah, for people out there who don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, it's basically like a tiny little computer. It's got all the ports you need, and it comes in a tiny little box, and you can hook it up to your monitor and your keyboard, and you can learn to code at a very affordable price point.
Absolutely. They're like $40. They're super cheap. You can actually get them at Target now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's lots of like great things. I have another friend who he has Raspberry Pis all over his house. And so instead of like having a air conditioning system in his house that will like be multi whatever for each room, he's got a Raspberry Pi in each room that is attached to a weather sensor, and then he's got a little hydraulic like cover for the vents. So if it gets like too cold, it'll cover the vent, and then once it gets hot, it'll raise the vent up again, so he's not wasting energy.
Wow,
that's crazy, cool. Right? Yeah. And then one of my kids, when I taught at Miami, he built. It was called the Pi of Sauron. It was a giant 300. Well, it wasn't a giant. It was a 360 camera that was done with all Raspberry Pis and GoPros that would
Wow.
lace everything together. It's amazing. He's the smartest kid I ever had in my classes, and I venture to say I didn't teach him anything.
Yeah.
So
The thing we're trying to do with this book is to inspire kids to do things like that.
yes.
Like it doesn't exactly teach you how to code, but it kind of gets your foot in the door, and it lets you know what it is. And it's like a broad spectrum technology introduction kind of.
So I would say to any parents out there, if once you go to the infospodcast.com and the show notes for this page and you buy this comic and you give it to your kids, after they're done reading, sign them up at code.org, and they will fall in love with coding, and you'll get all sorts of cool automations for your house that will make your lives easier, and your kids will be on a path to being able to solve all sorts of real world problems.
Yeah, and we need more of that, because
Yep, 100%.
real world problems are springing up pretty quickly.
Yeah, too quickly, too quickly to keep up with. Okay, so Go is 13. Is there a reason that you guys set him so young? I mean, it's kind of like the boy genius type thing, right? It was that based on like one of Frank's kids, or did you think that was like a more accessible age for people to kind of like, he's their kiddie pride, he's their, the one that they identify with?
Yeah, well, originally the Go's look is based on Frank's son, Frank Jr. They call him Frankie.
Okay.
So the look is based off of him with the curly hair. But we wanted it to be accessible. Like, we want young people to pick up the book and see another young person in it. They might not be able to relate to it if it was some dude in his mid 30s, living in his mom's basement. Like, that's not something to aspire to.
No.
But giving the kids the idea that you're not too young to start doing things like that, to start building technology, to start learning about computers and how they're built and what they do and the possibilities, is that you're never too young.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Are you able to talk about the influencers and the legends a little more, and what makes them different versus like an influencer versus a legend, and how they'll impact the story moving forward?
The legends are, it's a little more based in the app, or the legends.
Okay.
Each issue is going to have a legend. The first issue has obviously Nikola Tesla, who is, I mean, if you don't know about him, you should absolutely look him up. The dude was a genius, just on some really completely different stuff, really wild stuff. The second issue is Alan Turing. I don't know if he's a little bit lesser known than Tesla, but the dude basically invented the computer, your laptop, your smartphone, all that stuff it wouldn't be possible without what Alan Turing did.
Well, the original computers were called the Turing machines. So
yeah, the Turing machine. But yeah, the dude was a genius. There's a movie about him, and Benedict Cumberbatch played Alan Turing. It's called The Imitation Game, I believe,
with him and Keira Knightley.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie. But yeah, the third issue, I'm not sure which legend we're going to include, but basically exploring the legends. It's people who have made a big impact in science and technology. So it goes way back to, Einstein, even older than that. And it doesn't give a complete history, but it lets you know kind of the basics, get your foot into the door, and let you know who these people are. So kids are curious, and they're going to want to look up more about Tesla and Turing and Einstein and Ada Lovelace and people like that.
And J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan.
Of course, the banker is the bad guy. But
yeah, that was one of the more fun people to draw. J.P. Morgan. He was an ugly man.
Well, I like how you drew him to kind of look like the Penguin, like just a angrier version, like not angrier version, just a more angry Penguin. All right, so what's the deal with the influencers then? Because like on the website, you've got Elon and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Steve Jobs, and I mean, how will they differ through the story in the app from the legends?
They don't differ too much, but the influences are people who are alive and doing it today, like Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
So does Steve Jobs get to graduate to the legends category?
Yeah, I would put I would put Jobs in the legends category. That, I mean, it's pretty undeniable what the guy did for home computing. I mean, half the planet has an iPhone in their pocket, and I mean, I work on a MacBook Pro, and I have an iPad and iPhone. And my job wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to, pay my bills if I didn't have this stuff, and I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you. While you're in Ohio and I'm in Michigan.
Right. So you can graduate Jobs to the legends and replace Jobs and the influencers with Woz. But no, you're right. No, that's. I mean, I think this is great. This is just the whole, like, one, like, as an adult, this was fun to read. Two, as a dad, this was fun to hand off to my kid, and then it was fun to talk about it with her. Now she's naturally curious, so she knew way more about Tesla than I even did, and so that was just fun to, like, learn from her at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So well, cool. That's exactly what we're setting out to do, is to inspire people to learn more and seek out more knowledge on their own.
Nice. So chapter 2 is that one, the biohackers? Or no, that's number 3. So cracking the code is number 2, right?
Yeah, cracking codes. It's all about cybersecurity, and we have a cybersecurity expert character being introduced. His name is Zion.
Okay.
And, you can probably see some of him on our website. Mm-hmm. I think he appears on there a little bit.
Yeah, I used some of the pictures from your website for this week's thumbnail. So,
cool.
But I love the designs of all of the characters. I think they all stand out. They're all very different, yet interesting and really cool. I'm excited to read more, and when the next chapter comes out, you'll definitely have to come back.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, I think it comes out next month.
Maybe, okay.
Maybe.
Sweet. So
yeah, September, I think it's supposed to launch. Like I said, we just have a little bit of touch up to do
nice.
In the second issue.
So, and then my last question, on the website, you have G-Neekers?
The G-Neeks?
G-Neeks, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is a G-Neek?
You're a G-Neek. I'm a G-Neek. We use technology and to our advantage. That's basically what a G-Neek does. That's the short version of it. But yeah, you can read more about them on the website, and they're featured more in the next issues,
awesome
coming few issues.
Very cool. And then my last question is, in the app, there is going to be the ability to buy NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little bit for people what an NFT is, why they would want a Christian Colbert NFT, and maybe kind of a little more about how you guys are going to continue to incorporate that emerging technology and some of the crypto stuff you guys talk about on your website?
And an NFT stands for non-fungible token. Basically, it's a code embedded in a file, and it makes it so you can't duplicate it. Like if you buy an NFT that's, say, a picture of Marty McFly, nobody else is going to own that NFT. You're the only one that has it. So it makes it kind of like a trading card. If you go out and buy a Michael Jordan rookie, it's worth a lot of money because it's rare. And that's what you can do with NFTs. You can create a line of trading cards and, say there's going to be 100 common cards, and then 20 a little less common cards, and then 5 exclusive cards that they're really hard to find. But yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to make NFTs out of the legends and the characters and moments from the book. We're going to make NFTs from the symbols in the book. I've been working on some designs for them, and the thing cool about NFTs is as opposed to regular trading cards, it doesn't have to be just a still image. It can be a 3-minute film if you want it to be. We're going to make them a little simpler than that, just to have like little cool animations, stuff like that.
Like just little GIFs.
Yeah, basically like that. So, and those should be launching sometime later this year, maybe early 2022.
Nice. And then the Node Chron coin. Can you tell me a little more about that?
The Node Chron coin?
Yeah, it's on the website that you guys are gonna, become an early adopter and get your first Node Chron coin. Because Geniques are gonna launch a cryptocurrency.
Oh, I some of the stuff is news to me too.
Okay. So I am, I've been an early adopter for crypto. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, sweet. I'm definitely going to get in on that.
Yeah, we right now the company Node Chron, it's just me and Frank. We hire a little bit of help here and there. Like I had some on the second issue. I had some help from a friend of mine named Nate Lovett doing inks. We tried out a couple of colorists, and that didn't really work out too well. So me and Frank are really doing most of the heavy lifting on everything. Like in the first book, I penciled, ink, colored, letter, covers. Same with the second issue. Second issue, I penciled, inked, coloring, lettering, covers. I got to do a lot more of the writing in the second issue too. So
nice.
We are we're bootstrapping this whole thing right now.
Very cool. All right. The very last thing I have is on your guys' website, which is linked in the show notes, but it's nodechronicles.com. You have a school donation program, a buy one, give one.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Yeah. When you buy a copy of Node Chronicles, an identical copy of that is going to be donated to a school that doesn't have as much money as some schools, because we all know that some schools are really in need of a lot of things. So we're going to be dropping off a whole bunch of copies to schools in I think starting in Chicago. They've got some rough school districts out there.
Yeah.
So we want to do what we can to help inspire young people, because you don't have to have money to be inspired and be good at something. So we're gonna that initiative is gonna start, I think, also early next year.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, also the type of thinking that goes into like developing and things like that. Having an idea is the first part. Learning how to code it is the second part, and there's a ton of free places where you can go do that. I'll actually put some links to some of that in the show notes too. Cool. But yeah, no. So one, I just want to say thanks for like telling me about this, because I reached out to you and I was like, hey, what do you have that's new? And you were like, actually, so yeah, you know me, I'm going to support anything you do.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not just being friends, I'm a fan. But when it comes to stuff like this is really, really important to me, because again, I have a I have a young woman in my house now who is still very much into all of this, and this is all very, very important. This is something my nephews will enjoy, and not that I'll ever let them touch one of my comic books, but I'll tell them about it. So give their mom the website and let her buy some for them. But yeah, so great. So it's nodechronicles.com. Where can everybody find everything else about the book on social media, and where can they find you?
Yeah, I think right now we have an Instagram account at NodeChron on Instagram. Frank is in the process of setting up a Discord server for it. So I'm kind of a noob to Discord, so I don't really know that much of what it is. I guess it's like chat rooms and stuff like that. And I just made myself sound really old when I said that.
It's like a old timey forum.
Okay. But yeah, we're gonna have a Discord server set up pretty soon. But yeah, check out you can get most everything you need off of the website. And there are Instagram posts almost every day, every other day. Mm-hmm. So you can follow us there.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, I mean, the whole idea was to do this kind of quick, so I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a record-breaking guest. Coming on in all iterations of the podcast now. So I got to fire Daryl so we can have you come on again with another new host.
I haven't even met Daryl yet, so
No,
don't fire
no,
me.
I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. Actually, we crossed the 300 episode mark already.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We had our 6-year anniversary last month. We did
Nice.
I don't know if you know, but we did a live episode from Fretboard Brewing here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I saw some of your Facebook posts about that.
That was
pretty cool.
That was a blast. We're gonna do it again in November. So you should track down, and me, you, and B. Williams can hang out.
Oh, that'd be a good idea. I haven't been to Cincinnati in years.
Yeah, it's different. It's like an actual city now. So, well, all right, man. I will let you get back to your life on this fine Thursday evening. So thank you again. I appreciate the time, and
Awesome.
I will talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Daryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.